Picture this, July 27th, 1794. You're standing in the convention hall watching the most powerful man in France attempt to speak. His mouth opens. No sound comes out. Around you, 300 men are shouting him down, screaming, cursing, drowning every word he tries to say. This is Maximilien Robespierre, the incorruptible, the man who sent 17,000 people to the guillotine with a signature, and he can't speak. If you believe that the documented records of history's most terrifying figures must be remembered, consider liking this video and subscribing. Your support unearths more accounts from the darkest corners of the human story. Here's what makes this moment especially devastating. For 5 years, Robespierre controlled France through words. His speeches could condemn you to death. His rhetoric sent thousands to execution. Now, at the moment he needs his voice most desperately, they won't let him use it. The terror he created is about to consume him, but the guillotine will be mercy compared to what happens first. The year is 1794. France has been drowning in blood for 2 years. Robespierre sits at the center of the Committee of Public Safety, a bureaucratic title for systematic execution. He's 36 years old, neat, precise, methodical in his cruelty. You're a deputy in the National Convention. You watch him every day. That green coat he always wears, those spectacles perched on his nose, the powder in his hair unusual for a revolutionary. But Robespierre insists on appearing dignified. Think about what this tells you about his psychology. While he's sending aristocrats to the guillotine for their wigs and silk, he's meticulously grooming himself, powdering his hair like the ancient regime he claims to despise. The contradiction should be obvious, but no one dares mention it, because mentioning contradictions gets you guillotined. Here's how the machine works. Every morning, Robespierre reviews lists, names of suspected counter-revolutionaries, traitors, enemies of virtue. He doesn't need evidence. Suspicion is enough. Revolutionary purity demands it. His signature appears on arrest warrants, execution orders, transfer documents, neat, careful handwriting condemning hundreds to death. The process has become chillingly bureaucratic. Arrested today, tried tomorrow, executed the day after, sometimes faster. In June 1794, Robespierre pushes through the law of 22 prairial. This removes almost all rights for the accused. No lawyers, no witnesses, no appeal. The Revolutionary Tribunal becomes an execution assembly line. 1376 people guillotined in Paris in just 6 weeks following this law. Think about that pace. More than 30 executions every single day. The guillotine blade dulls from overuse and has to be resharpened multiple times daily. But here's what Robespierre doesn't see coming. Terror is like a fire. It consumes everything it touches, even the hand that lit it. By July 1794, everyone in the convention is terrified, not of counter-revolutionaries, of Robespierre. You sit in those sessions watching him, wondering if your name is on his list, if tomorrow's session will be your last. Several deputies have already disappeared, arrested overnight, guillotined within 48 hours. Their seats empty now, a silent warning to everyone else. Here's the question that haunts every deputy. Who's next? This isn't paranoia. This is mathematical certainty. Robespierre needs enemies to justify the terror. When you run out of aristocrats and priests, you start consuming your own. Act 1 of his destruction begins on July 26, 1794. Robespierre delivers a speech to the convention. 2 hours long, rambling, filled with vague accusations against unnamed deputies plotting against the revolution. He doesn't name them. That's the genius of the threat. Everyone thinks he means them. The speech is a disaster. Instead of intimidating the convention into submission, it galvanizes them into action. Because now everyone knows if they don't stop him today, they're dead tomorrow. That night, the conspiracy forms, not in secret meetings or coded letters, in whispered conversations between terrified men who realize their only choice is to strike first. You're lying awake that night. You know what's coming. Tomorrow, someone dies. Either Robespierre or everyone who opposes him. July 27, 1794, 9 o'clock a.m. The session begins. Robespierre enters wearing his green coat, powdered hair perfect, face composed. He has no idea what's about to happen. The president of the convention, a deputy named Tallien, rises to speak. His voice shakes. Not from fear, from barely controlled rage. And Tallien's lover is in prison, arrested on Robespierre's orders. He knows she'll be guillotined within days, unless something changes today. He's not just fighting for political survival. He's fighting for someone he loves. I demand the floor to tear the veil from this mystery, Tallien shouts. Robespierre tries to respond, tries to speak, tries to use the weapon that has served him so well for 5 years, his voice. The shouting begins. 300 deputies, simultaneously, screaming, drowning him out. Every time he opens his mouth, the roar intensifies. Down with the tyrant. Death to the dictator. To the guillotine. Picture what this does to him psychologically. Robespierre has controlled through rhetoric, through the power of the spoken word, through logical, precise argumentation that demolished his enemies. Now he can't make himself heard above the chaos. His mouth opens and closes like a drowning man gasping for air. No sound reaches beyond the first row. The carefully constructed arguments die in his throat. This continues for 3 hours. Every time he attempts to speak, the convention erupts, not allowing a single complete sentence. Think about the calculated cruelty of this approach. They're not just defeating him politically, they're destroying the very tool he used to build his power. By noon, Robespierre's voice is hoarse from shouting. Sweat runs down his powdered hair. The careful composure cracks. Then comes the vote. I demand the arrest of Robespierre. Hands shoot up across the hall. Not gradually, all at once. A forest of raised hands voting to destroy the man who destroyed so many others. The decree passes. Robespierre and several close associates, his brother Augustin, Saint-Just, Couthon, are placed under arrest. This is where the real horror begins, not the political defeat. What comes after? If this moment in history doesn't move you to learn more, you might be missing the lesson our ancestors died to teach. Act 2 of his destruction. The prison hours. They take Robespierre to the Luxembourg prison initially. Standard procedure for arrested deputies. But here's where the terror's bureaucracy reveals its fatal flaw. The prison administration refuses to hold him. Think about what this means. The entire system of revolutionary justice that Robespierre built is so arbitrary, so lawless, that even prison officials don't know what's legal anymore. If they hold him, are they following orders or committing a crime? If they release him, same question. The terror has destroyed the concept of law itself. For several hours, Robespierre and his associates are shuttled between prisons. None will accept them. They're toxic, radioactive, too dangerous to hold, too powerful to release. Finally, around 8 o'clock p.m., they're taken to the Hôtel de Ville City Hall. The Paris Commune, still loyal to Robespierre, has called for an uprising to free him. You're watching from the street. Crowds gathering, National Guard units assembling. The city teetering on the edge of civil war. But here's what makes this especially pathetic. The uprising never materializes. Hours pass. The crowds drift away. Why? Because Robespierre refuses to act decisively. The man who sent thousands to death without hesitation can't bring himself to call for open rebellion. The psychological paralysis is almost tragic. He's trapped between his self-image as a lawful representative and the reality that the law has turned against him. By 2 o'clock a.m. on July 28th, it's clear the uprising has failed. Convention forces surround the Hôtel de Ville. They're coming in. What happens next is disputed. Some sources say Robespierre tried to shoot himself. Others say a gendarme named Maida shot him. The medical evidence suggests suicide attempt. But history isn't certain. What is certain? A pistol ball shatters Robespierre's jaw. Not a clean death, not even close. The bullet enters below his left cheek, shatters his lower jaw, knocks out several teeth. He collapses, bleeding profusely. Think about the precision of this injury. If he aimed at his temple or heart, he missed catastrophically. If someone else shot him, they either missed or deliberately chose a wound that wouldn't kill. Either way, the result is the same. Robespierre is now in agony, unable to die, unable to speak. Remember, this is the man whose voice was his weapon. Now his jaw is shattered. Speech is impossible. Even screaming produces only gurgling, wet sounds. They find him on the floor, blood pooling around his head, conscious, in excruciating pain, and completely silent. The irony would be poetic if it weren't so brutal. Act 3 of his destruction. The waiting. They don't take him to a hospital. They take him to the Committee of Public Safety. His own headquarters. His own headquarters. The room where he signed so many death warrants. They lay him on a table. The same table where he sat to review execution lists. Here's what makes this especially sinister. They could end his suffering. A doctor could give him something for the pain, could dress the wound properly, could even grant him a mercy killing. They do none of these things. They leave him there, bleeding, conscious, in agony. For 16 hours, you're one of the guards posted outside the room. You can hear him inside, wet, labored breathing and occasional moans that sound more animal than human. No one offers help. No one shows mercy. The man who showed no mercy receives none. Throughout the day of July 28th, deputies file past to look at him, not to help, to gawk, to witness the fall of the incorruptible. Contemporary accounts describe his appearance: face swollen, jaw hanging at an unnatural angle, blood soaking through the crude bandage someone wrapped around his head, his famous green coat torn and blood-stained, powdered hair matted with sweat and blood. The careful grooming destroyed. The physical degradation mirrors the political destruction. Everything that made Robespierre impressive, his rhetoric, his appearance, his control, systematically demolished. But he's still conscious, still aware, still understanding exactly what's happening to him. Think about what's going through his mind during those 16 hours. Lying on the table where he condemns so many others, knowing he's about to face the machine he perfected. Does he feel remorse? Fear? Defiance? We'll never know. He can't speak, can't write, can't communicate anything except pain. At 5:00 p.m. on July 28th, they finally move him, not to a hospital, to the conciergerie, the holding prison for those awaiting execution. The journey through Paris takes an hour. They transport him on a cart, sitting upright, jaw still shattered, bandage soaked with blood. Crowds lined the streets, not to rescue him, to mock him. There goes the incorruptible. Look at the tyrant now. How does your jaw feel, Robespierre? Women hold up red-stained dolls representing heads. Children throw garbage. A baker throws something that hits him in the chest, eliciting a moan. The man who inspired such fear now inspires only contempt. They reach the conciergerie, strip him of his blood-stained clothes, process him through the system he created. Name? Status? Charges? The bureaucracy of death, applied to its architect. Then back to waiting, hours more, the pain intensifying. Medical help still denied. Here's what the records show. At some point during the night, someone, probably a prison doctor, removes the bandage to examine the wound. The sudden air contact on the exposed nerves causes Robespierre to scream. Not words, just raw agony. The bandage is replaced. No treatment, just enough to keep him alive for the guillotine. Act 4 of his destruction. The execution. July 28, 1794. 6:00 p.m. 21 hours after his jaw was shattered, they load Robespierre and 21 associates onto carts. Open carts, so the crowd can see them clearly. The journey to the Place de la Révolution takes 40 minutes. Every minute, an eternity. You're in the crowd, watching. The man on the cart doesn't look human anymore. Jaw distended, face swollen beyond recognition. eyes unfocused from pain and blood loss. This is what approximately 21 hours of untreated agony looks like. The crowd is massive. Estimates suggest over 10,000 people. They've come to watch the terror die. Tyrant, monster, butcher. The insults are constant, relentless. A chorus of hate following the cart through Paris. When they reach the guillotine, Robespierre is barely conscious. They have to lift him from the cart. His legs won't support his weight. The executioner, Charles-Henri Sanson, faces an unusual problem. The normal procedure is to lay the condemned face down on the plank, but Robespierre's shattered jaw makes this complicated. Here's what happens next. According to Sanson's own account, he or his assistant rips the bandage from Robespierre's face. The sudden removal tears away pieces of shattered bone, exposed nerves, fragments of teeth. Robespierre's scream, his first clear sound in 21 hours, carries across the square. Not words, not defiance, just pure, animal agony. The crowd erupts in applause. Think about what this reveals about the psychology of vengeance. These people aren't satisfied with death. They need to see him suffer first. They strap him to the plank, face down, the shattered jaw pressing against the wood. Every second, excruciating pressure on the exposed bone. The plank slides forward. His head enters the lunette, the wooden frame that holds the neck in position. Sanson releases the blade. 78 pounds of angled steel, dropping from 14 feet. The blade severs Robespierre's neck in less than a second. His head falls into the basket. The body goes limp. After 21 hours of systematic torture, death takes less than 1 second. The crowd erupts, not in horror, in celebration. People dancing, singing, embracing strangers. The terror is over. The architect is dead. Sanson holds up the head for the crowd to see. Standard procedure. One last humiliation for the man who ordered this ritual for so many others. Then something unprecedented happens. The crowd demands to see all 22 heads. Usually they display only the most important victim. But today, they want to see every single one. Every associate of Robespierre, displayed in death. The executions continue for another hour. 22 people. The guillotine blade rising and falling, over and over, the basket filling with heads. Contemporary accounts describe the scene. Blood running off the platform, soaking into the ground. The smell of iron and death thick in the summer air. By 7:00 p.m., it's finished. 22 bodies loaded onto a cart, transported to Arences cemetery, dumped into a mass grave. No coffins, no ceremony, no markers, just lime sprinkled over the bodies to speed decomposition. The man who reshaped France through terror ends as an anonymous corpse in a common grave. But here's what haunts me about this story. The real destruction wasn't the guillotine. That was mercy. The real destruction was the 21 hours before. The systematic removal of everything Robespierre used to build his power. His voice silenced in the convention, his jaw shattered, making speech impossible. His appearance degraded from meticulous to monstrous, his dignity stripped away by public mockery, his ideology revealed as hollow when faced with his own machine. The guillotine just finished what the revolution had already accomplished. The psychological annihilation of the man who thought he could control chaos through systematic violence. Here's the thing that should terrify you. Robespierre believed he was creating a better world. He genuinely thought the terror was necessary, that systematic execution would purify France. He wasn't insane. He wasn't randomly cruel. He was methodical, logical, convinced of his own righteousness. And the machine he built with such careful precision destroyed him with the same methodical efficiency he used on others. The convention didn't just execute Robespierre. They demonstrated that revolutionary justice devours everyone. That systematic violence, once unleashed, recognizes no master art. In the months after his death, the terror rapidly deconstructs. The law of 22 Prairial is repealed. The revolutionary tribunal's powers are curtailed. The guillotine's pace slows dramatically, because everyone saw what happened to Robespierre. The man who seemed untouchable, the incorruptible, reduced to a screaming wreck with a shattered jaw, begging for death with his eyes. If he could fall, anyone could fall. And suddenly, no one wanted to keep the machine running. The final irony. Robespierre's death didn't just end his life. It ended the terror itself. The system died with its architect. But the lesson remains. Power built on fear is fragile. Systems designed to destroy turn on their creators. And revolutionary purity always devours its own children. The question isn't whether Robespierre deserved what happened to him. The question is what his destruction teaches us about the nature of systematic violence. Can you build order through chaos? Can you create virtue through terror? Can you control a machine designed to destroy? Robespierre thought the answer was yes. He spent 5 years proving it, and then he spent 21 hours learning he was wrong. The guillotine took 1 second to kill him, but the revolution took 21 hours to destroy everything he thought he was. That's the horror the history books sanitize. That's the truth they try to erase. If this exposed something you've never heard before, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're going to keep uncovering the history they tried to erase. Drop a comment with your thoughts and I'll see you in the next investigation.